Hello. I got 21st Amendment's flagship Brew Free or Die IPA. 21st Amendment is from San Leandro, California. Kind of weird they call this Brew Free or Die. I guess they had sort of a government related name, 21st Amendment. But Live Free or Die is New Hampshire's state motto. But let's get to this. So I've been kind of returning to West Coast IPAs lately, and if I find one that's around a month or less old, I'll get it. I haven't had this one in a very, very long time. And some of the cans I got foamed up, which, yeah, this one I opened very carefully, and it still wants to foam up. And these are only a little over a month old, so it's not like it's a really old IPA that's fermenting in the can again. And it was canned October 7th, so you'd think that in its lifespan it wouldn't be exposed to really, really hot temperatures that would make it ferment again. So I don't know what happened with this one. Maybe it's not in great shape. There isn't like a bunch of yeast on the bottom that makes it seem like it can condition, basically fermented again. But we do have. So the carb isn't that crazy. Right. So I'm not sure what the deal is. I swear the first can I got from the 6-pack didn't do that. But then I was storing these on the side in my fridge. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit something weird happened inside there. But there you go. It's traditional hot side hops or kettle hops. Centennial, Cascade, Columbus. But then for the dry hop, they use some interesting ones. El Dorado. Now I'm like blanking on the other ones. El Dorado, Comet, and maybe one other one, which is interesting combo. I'm an El Dorado fan. Comet isn't used that much. Comet is a little bit like the old-fashioned dank sea hops. But this kind of smells like what I remember, getting really tired of circa 13 years ago. Is malty, bitter, old IPAs. And maybe, the Centennial hops, to my taste, kind of quickly gets kind of old. And this is a little bit malty. It says they use Munich malt, not crystal or caramel malt. Which Munich malt is usually a little less dark and intense. And I guess there's not much color to that, but I'm definitely getting caramelized notes. But also some pretty fruity notes. Like it has that sticky resinous pine in there, but then there's some very sweet candied citrusy stuff. It's a little bit more malty than Pliny the Elder, I guess, but it's kind of similar in that it has the old-fashioned piney hops, but then it's pretty fruity too. And maybe I'll get this again if I ever see it fresh again, which I kind of doubt because it's from across the country, a very unpopular. Surprised they even ship their beer here. I'm sure that Heller High Watermelon, their summer seasonal, is by far the best seller, but it smells pretty good, and it was also pretty cheap. It's 6.8%. Yeah, they list that, and the IBU is 65. Pretty classic. Yeah, the flavor gets at first it gets more fruity, sweet orange, little bit of a berry kicks thing, cereal fruity stuff, almost Fruity Pebbles, but then quickly goes to toasty, caramelishy, toffee malts almost, and bitter pine. Yeah, it doesn't really have super oxidized hop character. It's just I don't know, just confusing how a beer that's a month old would be almost a gusher. I opened that really carefully, so it didn't do it much. But other ones I opened just foamed out. Yeah, with the first sip, it's not that bitter, but it definitely has some good bitterness. But I kind of like it as a change of pace. The fermentation is really clean. There's almost like no yeast character in this. It's all hops and malt, but quite a good amount of bitterness and quite a good amount of malt. I guess it's a little bit. It's pretty pale though. Look, it's surprising. Actually, the closest thing to this on the East Coast is probably Dogfish Head 60 Minute. But that one even is like a little bit less malty and a little bit less hoppy. It's actually gotten pretty not as good since they were bought out, I think. This has plenty of flavor and character. There's some malt body to it. Head sticking around nicely. And the carb doesn't seem too overdone. Like that's if there's fermentation in here, then the carb would, make it really, really bubbly. But I still don't understand why it was gushing out of there. Because this was sitting in like the coldest part of my fridge for days. It was on its side, and then I carefully brought it over here and opened it carefully, and it still wanted to foam. Well, this is probably one of the few really malty, really bitter, really hoppy, in-your-face IPAs, especially one that's independent, that's available on the West Coast, or on the East Coast in New England. I guess there's, what was I gonna say? There's Stone, but Stone, I've never liked Stone IPA, and I don't know if I want to return to it. I tried it 7 years ago, I review, and it was just too malty and too bitter. Kind of like this one, but this is right on the edge, I would say. Right on the edge of being unpleasantly bitter. Yeah, 65 IBUs. I think it's way higher. But also, when you use classic C hops, Columbus, Centennial, Cascade, it makes the beer seems more bitter, and in combination with the darker malts, that's what made me stop drinking IPAs for a few years. Or at least I wasn't into them, and then the hazy IPA thing that totally changed the idea of what IPAs were got me back into it. And now I'm sick of the hazy IPAs, in part because I only want the ones that are really, 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 really good, because so many things can go wrong with them. And with West Coast IPAs, brewers have figured them out. It's a clean yeast. I think it's easier to do them consistently. You just got to find them fresh and not messed up like this one might be. I'd say the current flavor of this, I'd give it a pretty good. It's 3.95. But if this is a messed up batch, or messed up, this is not cared for properly, this case or whatever, and then it could be better. I would maybe try this again, especially if I see it on tap, but I don't think you see this on tap much. Well, that's it. Bye-bye.